Now before we get started, please subscribe to our channel and turn on notifications by clicking on the bell icon. In previous video of internet programming, we have seen HTML and major concepts of HTML5. In that we have seen tables, list and images. Okay, let's go through what we will be covering in this session. We will firstly go through what our control elements are. Control elements. An HTML form is a section of a document containing normal content, markup, special elements called controls, and label on those controls. The controls can be checkboxes, radio buttons, menus, etc. Users generally complete a form by modifying its controls, like entering the text, selecting the menu item, before submitting the form to the web server for processing. Users interact with forms through named controls. HTML consists of tags and elements that help in structuring the web pages. These elements can be grouped together inside a form to collect the data from the user in a user-friendly manner. HTML forms are required when you want to collect some data from the person who visits your website. For example, when you register or login for an application like Netflix or Facebook, you enter information like name, email, and password through HTML forms. Now we will learn all the required elements for creating a form. HTML forms are required when you want to collect some data from the user. For example, during user registration, you would like to collect information such as name, email address, credit card, etc. A form will take input from the site visitor and then it will post it to the backend application such as CGI, ASP or PHP, etc. The backend application will perform required processing on the passed data based on defined business logic inside the application. The HTML form tag is used to create a HTML form and it has the following syntax. The form elements needs to be enclosed within form and /form tags. The form tag has an action attribute that specifies the URL of the script that will receive and process the data. That is, it will specify the encoding of the submitted data. It is used to send the data to the server after submission of the form. This script could be on the same web server that is serving the web page that contains the form, or it could be on the different server. The form tag has a method attribute that specifies the method used for bundling up the information and sending it to the server, and the value can either be post or get. The two methods are distinct, where get method adds encoded data to the URI, while in case of post method the data is appended to the body rather than URI. Additionally, the get method is used for retrieving the data. Conversely, the post method is used for storing and updating the data. Form is a part of web page. Form works like a container which consists of controls known as form elements. The different types of form controls that you can use to collect the data using HTML forms are text field, checkboxes, radio buttons, submit buttons, etc. The input tag is used to create form elements. It does not have end tag. Input text controls are used to collect user data. It will form a rectangle box where user can input the data. There are different types of input text controls that can be used in HTML forms. Let's have a look on that. Single line input text control. This allows user to enter only a single line of data. A typical example of such input text control is for entering the name, search box, city, etc. Password input controls. This is also a single line text input, but it masks the character as soon as the user enters it. Multi-line input text control. This input control type allows user to enter data of multiple lines. Typical usage of such input control is for comments, addresses, description, and so on. Multi-line input controls are created with a text area element. Here is a simple example of single line text input used to take the first name and last name. And this will produce the output as shown here. Here is a basic example of single line password input used to take the user password. This will produce the output as given here. This is an example of a multi-line text input used to take an item description. Sometimes a single line of text is not enough. For example, some websites have contact form for people to type their queries and messages. In these cases, it is best to use the text area element. The text area is not a self-closing tag, so we need to type both opening and closing tag. The row and column attributes allow you to specify the size of the text area. The row specifies the number of lines in text area and column specifies the width of the text area. Text area allows us to type in multiple lines. Text area is resizable by the user. In most browsers, text area element is resizable. The scroll bar will automatically appear if needed. The following list of attributes for the input tag includes type, ID, and name. The type attribute specifies the type of input element to be displayed. If the type attribute is not specified, the default type is text. The type attribute indicates what kind of input we want. If we give text as a value to type attribute, then we will enter text in an input field. There are many possible values for this particular attribute. Some possible values are email, telephone, password, checkbox, reset button, etc. Next is ID. It is one of the core attribute. It is used to identify the element present within the HTML page uniquely. It is helpful for targeting the elements with CSS or JavaScript. The ID attribute is added so that we can associate labels to the specific form controls. The name attribute is used to give a name to the control. The name attribute is probably the most important attribute of input element. It is not strictly required for validation, but you should not omit it. When a form is submitted to the server, the data from the form is included in HTTP request. That is, the IDs are for hooking the element with JavaScript and CSS. The name is used when the value is passed in URL or in posted data. The optional placeholder attribute is new in HTML5 feature. The placeholder attribute specifies a short hint that describes the expected value of input field or text area. The short hint is displayed in the field before the user enters the value. And here is a syntax to implement the placeholder attribute. The hint text will appear as a gray text inside the field, and the text will disappear when the user selects the field to enter text. Here is an example. You can make input be of type email, text, password. All of them show slightly different behavior, which is shown here. As I said earlier, the control type defined by the input element depends on the value of the type attribute. The value can be a text, checkbox, radio button, submit button, image, reset, button, file, etc. If the value is text, then it creates a single line text input control. If the value is radio, then it will display the radio button for selecting a single option from the list of options. If the value is checkbox, then it will display the checkbox for selecting one or more options from the list of choices. If the value is submit, then it will send the form data to the specified URL. If input type is button, it defines a clickable button. It is mostly used with JavaScript to activate the script. This element have no default behavior. To make buttons do anything, you have to write JavaScript code to do the work. It creates a push button like a reset or submit button. One of the core elements used in HTML form is input element. The input element can be displayed in several ways depending upon the type attribute. You create a text field where user can enter the line of text with HTML. This is a syntax for input type of text. An input field allows only one line of text. If you need a multi-line text input for substantial amount of text, use text area element instead. Here is an example for text input control. The respective output for the code is shown. Before we go on to checkboxes and radio buttons, I want to mention the label tag. The label element represents a caption for an item. This tag adds a label to a form control such as text, email, password, text area, and it toggles the control when the user clicks on the text within the label element. This feature is especially useful with checkboxes and radio buttons. The most used attribute with label is for. The for attribute associates the label with a particular form element. This is a syntax for element, and it contains the value which specifies the ID of the element that the label is bound to. When we click on the label, we automatically get the focus to the input field which is associated with the label, and this is the default behavior. As you see in this example, the value of ID attribute given to the input element is the same as the value for the for attribute given to the label element. So both of them are associated with each other. Sometimes when you are creating a form, you don't want the user to type the text. Rather, you might want them to pick from some preset options that you provide. The select element is used to create a drop-down list and is most often used in form to collect the user input. The select element won't do anything by itself. This form element actually needs additional elements inside of it. Exactly like UL elements needs LI elements, that is unordered list elements needs list elements. The element we put inside of select element are called option elements. This is an example for select menu. In this code, the name attribute is same as what I have said in the input element. The ID attribute is needed to associate the drop-down list with a label. The option element represents one of the choices that user can choose in a select menu. The option element uses an attribute called value. When you submit a form to the server-side code, each form has an associated value for the text input and text area. The value is whatever the user types into the field. However, since we are creating a predefined options, so we need to specify what value should look like when it's submitted. So we use the value attribute to specify the value to predefined options. Now we have a choose a core label with select menu, which we have just created. Now we can also organize our list into logical groups with an option group element. The option group element has an attribute called label, that is name of the group of options. In this example, our list of options has been divided into two groups with the label of Swedish cars and German cars. Select menus are great if you have lots of options. If you have something like 5 or fewer options, it is better to use radio buttons. The difference between select menu and radio button is that radio button show all the options at once, and like select menu, the user can pick only one from them. Each group of radio button has the same name. That is, if you select one option and then you try to select the another option, you will see that it deselects the previous option. The radio buttons are made using input tag with type radio. The name attribute specifies the name of the input element. As I said earlier, if you select one option and try to select the another option, you will see that it deselects the previous one. It is done using the name attribute, so it knows that these two radio buttons are the part of the same group. The value attribute defines a unique value associated with each radio button. Each radio button must be accompanied by label describing the choice it represents. The value in the for attribute should be the ID of the element you are labeling. And you can see the output for the respective code. Sometimes you might have a group of predefined options and you want the user to select the multiple option, not just one of them. Then that's where the checkboxes are useful. A checkbox is a square box that the user can check or uncheck with a click of the mouse. Checkboxes are made using input tag with type checkbox. In this code, each checkbox has a unique name and the value that it gets is sent along with the name when the form is submitted. The value attribute is used to specify the value to the predefined options. By default, the checkbox input is unchecked. You can set the default state to the checked by using the attribute called checked. In this example, I have used the label for each individual options, and I have connected the checkbox and label using the for attribute of the label and ID attribute of the checkbox. It can be hard to click a small checkbox. It is recommended to wrap a label element around the checkbox, and if we click the label, then also our checkbox gets checked or unchecked. Selecting checkbox is optional, but choosing one of the radio button is mandatory. Next is button element. It is one of the most important form elements. Without button, you cannot submit any form to the server for processing. The button element accepts the attribute called type. This attribute accepts three values: submit, reset, and button. If the attribute type is reset, it will clear all the form data when it is clicked. If the type is button, it does not have any default behavior and it is mostly used with JavaScript to program it for the custom behavior. And if the type is submit, the default behavior of the submit type is, as its name implies, submit the form and send all the data over the server.